Cowboys Nation, buckle up because this stretch of news around Dallas just keeps getting stranger. Out of all the storylines circulating, one of the most unexpected was the sudden chatter linking Mike McCarthy to the head coaching job in New York. Yeah, you heard that right. Somehow, he has popped up as an early favorite for that position. And honestly, it is one of those things that makes you raise an eyebrow more out of curiosity than concern. If New York really wants to go down that path, Dallas is not exactly losing sleep over it. McCarthy is not a bad coach, but he is not exactly the type of hire that transforms a franchise overnight. His offensive approach has always leaned a bit old school, and you get the sense that a team like New York, which is desperate for a forward-thinking identity, might just be putting a limit on their own ceiling if they went that direction. And even if they did, who would he bring in to run the defense? How would he rebuild a roster that is nowhere close to being ready to compete at a high level? It has the feel of one of those early off-season rumors that sound splashy, but never actually materialize once the real coaching cycle kicks in. History shows that these first-wave favorites rarely end up being the ones who get hired, unless there is some deep personal connection behind the scenes. So for now, it feels a lot more like background noise than anything Cowboys fans need to circle in red. Before wrapping up this stretch of updates, there was something far more important and emotional that surfaced. The organization has established a memorial fund for Nelland, an effort aimed at supporting his family, especially with the heartbreaking reality that his girlfriend is expecting a child. It is one of those reminders that football, as intense as it can be, stays small when moments like this force everything into perspective. The fund was created so that his family has the support and stability needed during an unimaginably difficult time, and it was something a lot of fans have been asking about. Dallas stepped up to make sure that chapter did not go overlooked. And with everything swirling around the Cowboys right now, from players returning to the field to the constant debate about how this roster should be shaped moving forward, it is clear that the next stretch of the season is going to test everyone. Coaches, veterans, rookies, the entire locker room. The pieces are there. The talent is there. But the margin for error keeps shrinking with every week that passes, and what Dallas does from here on out is going to define how far this team can realistically go. All right, Cowboys Nation, let's dive into this second part because the story around Dallas is only getting deeper, more layered, and honestly way more intense than anyone expected a few weeks ago. It feels like every time this team tries to settle into a rhythm, something new pops up and reshapes the entire conversation. And right now, the biggest theme hanging over the Cowboys is not a single player, not a single coach, but a combination of decisions, performances, and internal questions that will define how this franchise moves forward. So let's peel this thing apart piece by piece because there's a lot to be explained and even more to be understood. The core issue that keeps coming up, and Cowboys fans feel it every week, is that this roster is built to win now, not later. The front office has invested too much. The clock on several star players is ticking loudly, and the expectations have never been higher. And yet, despite that urgency, the team is stuck in this strange limbo where flashes of brilliance get drowned out by stretches of inconsistency. You see a quarter where the offense looks unstoppable, then suddenly a drive stalls because the run blocking collapses or a penalty pushes everything off schedule. You watch the defense force a turnover and then immediately give up a long, demoralizing drive the next time they take the field. It is that push and pull that has fans pulling their hair out because the ceiling is enormous and yet the floor shows up way too often. And part of this inconsistency comes down to how different parts of the roster are being used. Take the running back situation, for example. The Cowboys have been shuffling through options, try to find the right combination of explosiveness and reliability, but nothing has fully clicked. Jaden Blue has the speed, the burst, and the ability to stretch plays that simply does not exist elsewhere in the backfield. But he has been stuck in this weird space where he is used in limited, low-impact snaps that do nothing to leverage what he actually does well. Meanwhile, the offense keeps calling those same slow-developing screens in the backfield that fool absolutely nobody, and fans are left wondering why the team does not tap into the one player who could make those calls actually dangerous. It is not about giving him 20 carries. It is about letting him impact the game in ways that fit his strengths, especially when the passing attack could use a spark underneath to balance out what Lamb and Pickens do downfield. And speaking of those two, the dynamic between CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens is becoming one of the most fascinating storylines in Dallas. And not because of drama. There's no drama. The issue is how people outside the building talk about this duo as if there is some sort of problem instead of the best wide receiver pairing this team has had in years. It is wild how quickly narratives get twisted online. One day, the discussion is about how Dallas needs to support Dak Prescott with elite weapons. The next day, the team finally has those weapons, and suddenly people are inventing reasons to split them up. Forgetting how elite Lamb has been is absurd. Ignoring how explosive Pickens has become is even more absurd. Together, they form the exact blueprint every modern offense wants. One receiver who can shred defenses underneath and across the field, and another who stretches the entire secondary vertically and forces double teams. That duo is a matchup nightmare, and acting like it is optional or replaceable is missing the entire point. The real problem is not having too many great receivers. The real problem is that the things that surround them, the run game, the pass protection, the play calling have lacked stability. And when those pieces wobble, the whole offense looks uneven. You can have two elite receivers, but if the offensive line collapses on 2nd and long, the coordinator has to throw away half the playbook. You can have Pickens winning deep and Lamb open on crossers, but if the quarterback is under pressure before the routes develop, none of that matters. It creates this illusion that the receivers are somehow part of the problem, when the truth is the issues live elsewhere. And that is why the offense looks hot and cold instead of consistently dominant. Now the defense, oh boy, this is where things get really complicated. What was once considered the identity of the team has become the biggest vulnerability. A unit that looked fast, aggressive, and disruptive early in the season suddenly looks hesitant and disorganized. Missed tackles pile up. Gap control disappears. Opposing offenses are picking up chunk plays far too easily, and it is not because of a lack of talent. The injuries at safety have created a domino effect, forcing players into roles they are not suited for, and stretching the depth to a breaking point. Malik Hooker returning helps a ton, but it is not a magic fix. It is like plugging a leak in a boat that has several cracks forming at once. Dallas needs stability, needs communication, needs players in the right spots, and above all, needs consistency on a down-to-down basis. And if we are being honest, the team also needs the coaching staff to adapt faster. The league moves at high speed. If you spend too long waiting for a scheme to click, you get left behind. Teams have studied what Dallas does well defensively. They're attacking the soft spots. They're forcing mismatches. And unless adjustments are made mid-game, not just midweek, more of these struggles will continue to surface. It is not that the defense lacks talent. It is that the rhythm is off, the timing is off, and the structure is showing cracks that opponents can exploit. Which brings everything back to something bigger. This season is hitting that stretch where identity is supposed to solidify. The excuses fade away. The injuries become reality instead of temporary setbacks. And the teams that rise are the ones that find ways to win without needing everything to go perfectly. Dallas has the roster to be one of those teams. But does it have the discipline? Does it have the in-game adaptability? Does it have the ability to stay composed when the game tilts? That is the question hanging over the final stretch of the regular season, and it is not a small one. And that leads us to one of the more underplayed but significant factors in all of this. The veterans on this roster know time is limited. They feel it. Some of them are playing the best football of their careers. Some are fighting through injuries. All of them know that championship windows do not stay open forever. And when you have a group this talented, but also this aware of how precious these opportunities are, the pressure becomes both a motivator and a weight. It pushes players to elevate their game, but it also magnifies every mistake, every missed read, every blown assignment. You can sense that urgency in the way they talk after games. You can see it in how frustrated they look on the sidelines when something goes wrong. They know what this team could be. They just need to start playing like it consistently. Which brings us to Dak Prescott. The man is constantly analyzed down to the molecule. Every throw dissected, every decision critiqued because he sits at the intersection of expectations and accountability. The truth is, Dak has played high-level football this season, but the margins around him have not always supported that level of play. When the pocket holds, he delivers. When the receivers run clean routes, he finds them. When the offense is clicking, he looks every bit the franchise quarterback he has been for years. But when the mistakes pile up around him, he gets stuck in situations where even the best quarterbacks struggle. And because he is the face of the franchise, he becomes the lightning rod for conversations that should be aimed elsewhere. All of this circles back to the identity of the team, because the Cowboys cannot afford to be sometimes great. They have to be dependable. They have to be disciplined. They have to be sharp. This team has the talent to play with anyone in the league, but it also has the frustrating tendency to beat itself. And that, more than any opponent, is the battle they will have to win if they want to make real noise in the postseason. It is not enough to rely on explosive plays or highlight moments. They need the solid, methodical, fundamental football that turns drives into points and stops into momentum. And as we head into the next chapter of this season, the questions do not get smaller. The expectations do not get lighter. The spotlight does not dim. Everything about this moment demands clarity. Clarity in coaching decisions, clarity in player roles, clarity in execution. Dallas has reached the point where moral victories do not matter. Close losses do not matter. Flashy stat lines do not matter. What matters is stacking wins, fixing flaws, and turning potential into production. Because at the end of the day, Cowboys Nation is not dreaming about almost winning, not dreaming about close calls, not dreaming about what could have been. This fan base knows exactly what it wants, and the roster in Dallas is capable of delivering it. The only question now is whether they can put all the pieces together before the clock runs out. And that is the real point. This is not the moment for panic. It is the moment for accountability. It is the moment where the team needs to stop creating imaginary issues and start addressing the ones that stare everyone in the face. It is the moment for the offense to embrace the duo it has built. The moment for the defense to reorganize around players returning. The moment for the coaching staff to adapt its ideas to the reality on the field instead of the ideal version in the playbook. And above all, it is the moment for the Cowboys to play with urgency without drifting into desperation. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers are growing louder around the league that veteran linebacker C.J. Mosley has signed with the Dallas Cowboys, a move that could immediately reshape the heart of their defense. While no official announcement has surfaced from the team or Mosley's camp, multiple sources close to the situation suggest the deal is all but finalized, and the star linebacker is expected to don the iconic star on his helmet soon. If true, this would mark a bold and calculated strike by the Cowboys front office, adding one of the NFL's most cerebral and consistent defensive minds to a unit already stacked with talent. Mosley, known for his leadership, discipline, and ability to read plays before they happen, brings a level of stability the Cowboys' defense has been seeking since the offseason reshuffle began. Insiders say the move was driven by a desire to fortify the middle of the field, an area that has quietly troubled Dallas in recent seasons. Mosley's presence could instantly elevate the performance of younger linebackers, allowing coordinator Dan Quinn to experiment with more aggressive formations and creative blitz packages. Cowboys fans are buzzing to thought of pairing Mosley's old-school toughness with the explosive athleticism surrounding him. The idea of him lining up behind Micah Parsons has already set social media ablaze. This could be the missing piece, one anonymous source inside the locker room reportedly said. We've got playmakers everywhere, but Mosley brings that voice, that command. While skeptics question whether the veteran still has the same burst he showed during his prime years, few doubt his football IQ and influence in the locker room. For a franchise often under the brightest spotlight in sports, adding a player with Mosley's experience might be the kind of subtle masterstroke that pushes Dallas from contender to legitimate championship threat. Until the ink dries, it remains speculation. But in Dallas, rumors have a way of feeling real long before they're official. And if this one proves true, the Cowboys defense just got a whole lot smarter, tougher, and louder. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.